Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2021 Nanaimo Work BC Virtual Job Fair. On this day, we have the pleasure of interviewing local employers, fantastic local employers, and the gentleman I'll be speaking with right now is absolutely no exception. This is Robert Collins from Pride Painting. Robert, I'm so happy that you've joined me today. Thank you for making the time.
No problem. It's great to speak to you as well, Peter. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So my first question straight out of the gate is, how did you get started with Pride Painting, and what have you enjoyed most about the experience?
Well, actually, I started Pride Painting. It started off as a thought back in 2010. And actually, there was just a whole bunch of stuff that kind of led up to it. And we became incorporated back then in the wintertime. And yeah, it's just snowballed into, being 10 years in business now, or over 10 years now. And yeah, I love what we do for work. There's a lot of rewarding aspects of it, just in the sense of job satisfaction and completing a project from start to finish, dealing with homeowners that have all sorts of different situations, whether if it's they're painting their house for sale or it's going to be their forever home. Just lots of different aspects of the job that we get to do, and I get to work with great people. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Fantastic. And business is good?
Yeah, business is good. We, just like everybody else, we've had to make adjustments during COVID, but since then we've still been growing, and with the right strategies, we've just kept the same teams in place and moving forward. Just lots of safety precautions as one of our number one concerns, and yeah, just every year, year after year, it's just been busier and busier. So yeah.
Great. Now this is a job fair, so of course we need to speak about hiring. So, and we're getting into the warmer months now, and perhaps you could tell me a little bit about what happens with your business in the warmer months, but what positions are you looking to fill either immediately or perhaps in the near future?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, typically there's always a bit of a busier season and a bit of a slower season when it comes to residential painting. We're primarily a residential repaint specialist company. And so what that means is that we're always dealing with homeowners, and we're painting the inside or outside of people's houses all year long. And during the winter time, we're not exactly painting outside. So at that point, that's when we typically slow down. And then usually around this time, about March, April, we really start to pick back up. And we always have our guys that have been with us for numerous years, and they continue on with our training, and they bring on the new guys, and we make sure that they're following the standard procedures that we have here at Pride Painting. And during the winter, we do slow down a little bit. And that's usually when we look to bringing on a couple guys as full-time members of our team. And come the next season, it's just cyclical in that sense, where they get to help us train the new people and keep going every year. And it works really well with some people that sometimes are in between school as well. And so sometimes for young students, this could be a good opportunity for them to get professional training, get their hands dirty with a little bit of like a hands-on trade, something along those lines. Yeah.
Great, perfect. Now, when you first hire someone onto your team, do you really look for a lot of experience directly in the kind of things they're going to be doing, or someone with maybe a little less experience or perhaps no experience with painting? Do you consider their applications, and if so, what kind of training is available when someone is hired onto the team?
Right. Yeah, actually, so more so what we're looking for is directly is the attitude, making sure that somebody has the right attitude, the right mindset towards their work. Nobody likes to work with somebody that's going to be lazy, and nobody likes to go to work with the intention of doing a bad job. That's our belief. And so if we find somebody that it's not a good fit, chances are that, painting is just not for them. So when we're looking for the right person, we're looking for somebody that has kind of like a can-do attitude. Because you're going to be working outside. Sometimes you're going to be working up on a ladder, which doesn't sound so great. But at the end of the day, you're going to be working outside with fresh air. You're going to have some really beautiful views of like the entire city. You get to check out all different neighborhoods that you didn't know was here. So we want to find somebody that sees the positives in working with their hands. If you're working with the trades, there's good opportunities to make good money, and hitting your financial targets that you want to throughout like either an exterior summer season, all winter long, if this is something you want to pursue. Yeah, and so for something like that, we're more so looking for just the right attitude. We can train the skill, and so if you have previous experience, that's great. It means that we can hopefully move you up to speed quite a bit quicker. We do have a procedure that we follow through, which is just everybody that's brand new, has no experience. You start off as what's called a P1, like as a painter level 1. And we have a basic skill set that you have to demonstrate. And through that, it graduates you to a P2, P3, all the way to what we call as a P4, which is like our team leads or our journeyman painters. And these guys can do everything from spraying, running commercial job sites, to doing everything that has painting related. So we have a couple of stories of people starting with us right from P1, making it all the way to P4 and still with us today.
Great. Now, when someone is brought onto the team and maybe they've been on for a while, of course, when someone is first looking at the opportunity, they would want to know how many hours per week they might be looking at. What are the hours like for your business?
Absolutely. So typically when somebody's working in our industry, a lot of the time we usually start somebody off on exterior work. So, what we're gaming for is actually usually 30 to 40 hours a week. However, a lot of our work is weather dependent. So, regardless what happens there, that's the goal, is within a 7-day period is aiming for 40 hours, weather dependent. And we have a standard at our projects that we don't leave until the job's complete. And so that's just something that we guarantee all of our clients, and it guarantees all of our employees as well when we're working on a site that, they know where they're going every week and they know where to expect to go. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And for pay scale, if someone's considering either moving into your line of work, or they're already in your line of work, but they're considering your company, what's the average pay scale like that you're looking at?
Right. Yeah. So actually, back to our skill set from P1s to P4s, we actually have that laid out pretty well, so somebody can see, how to succeed with our company. And so what that means is that with our P1s, usually they're starting off at about $16 an hour. It's obviously just like over time, it's just incrementally increased over, just because we don't expect to be paying people minimum wage. We expect above minimum wage, behavior. And so with that, we desire, we try to reward our team for that as well. And so it starts off in 16. The average person, I would say, is probably about 20 to 22. And, as you go north from there, over $25 an hour. And there's actually also opportunities to hit bonuses as well, which is just pay per performance. Really kind of making sure that we're, gunning for the best job and getting everybody paid what they deserve.
Perfect. Now, you'd mentioned earlier about with COVID that everyone's had to take measures to ensure the safety of their teams and of their customers. Maybe you could explain a little bit what measures have been put in place at Pride Painting?
Yeah, absolutely. So our procedures are fairly standard. It's kind of similar to as if you're going in or out of any other building. Masks are to be worn all the time, sanitizing as soon as you're entering. We typically have it so even when you're working by yourself, that's usually when we still like you to be masked up when you're in someone's home. If you're on the exterior of someone's house and you're not networking right next to somebody, then it's okay to actually take your mask off, but you still want to be sanitizing in between all your breaks, any transitions that you have to do. And if you need to actually do any sort of interaction with the client or another coworker, masks are to be worn at all times. And from there, we just make sure that it's always one person per room, and if it can be avoided. And usually vacant houses is what we're working in. So the spaces are completely empty that we're working in, to making sure that we're not contaminating anybody's home. And we sanitize with just Lysol wipes in between every surface that we paint, any surfaces that we touch.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now, for a new hire, sometimes it's really obvious and sometimes it's not so obvious of what does success look like? How does someone know if they're pulling their weight, or if they're doing what they ought to be doing and
Right.
measuring up to the measures that you're putting in place? How is that communicated?
Right. No, actually, great question. So for us, actually, a lot of it comes down to just the reporting that's going to be done by the team lead. So anybody that's brand new to our sites, or anybody that's new to our industry, they're always going to be paired up with what we call as a team lead. And so you're never working on a job site unsupervised. And that just gives a lot of confidence, making sure that you're following the procedures, you know what you're going to be doing, you get constant direction if needed. But there's also a lot of the team atmosphere that happens out of that. So what happens is we get to see the demonstration of how well somebody can take direction and at the same time can work and communicate together. And Yeah, so success would look like, all right, somebody, here's your list of skill sets that we expect you to demonstrate as a P1. Great, you've checked off all the boxes. Your team lead agrees that you've demonstrated these skills with adequate competency. Great, you know what? They speak with the project manager, which is myself. Great, you know what? We're going to give you a raise on that. And right there, that's going to look like success. You're going to see that you're hitting the timelines that are going to be outlined on a daily basis to get certain activities done. And it gets really well tracked and monitored and communicated on a daily and weekly basis. So we find that works really well.
So this is our 2021 job fair, and for that reason, we have a lot of job seekers who are watching this, both Work BC clients and non-Work BC clients. And the thing they all want to know is when they submit their resume to you, and I have a few questions about resumes, but what are you really looking for at its most basic sense? What appeals to you when you see a resume come in?
That's a good question. Actually, I was going over this as well with Kayla. She's our office administrator, and she really is on top of this stuff really well. And one of the big things that I'm really looking for is consistency in that resume. So making sure that when I'm looking at somebody's resume, I like to see the length of employment or the duration of when they were working with somebody, or if there was a gap in between, if what was the answer of what happened in between. And those are usually questions that I would ask in an interview, is just, looking at your resume, if there's a timeline between a gap of employment, I would just want to know the situation, what happened, if it's something that's able to be discussed. Just making sure that, somebody that wants to work, likes coming to work, and making sure that they want to do what they want to do. A part of it as well is making sure that customer service is usually at some way or form or fashion. If it's in any other industry, that's fine. Just some sort of where they're interacting with the general public, because we have a lot of great respect for our clients and the homeowners there. We expect that, to treat the house like it's grandma's house, in the sense that when you're there, customer service game has got to be on point, making sure you're going to be polite, courteous, dressed well, respectful. And a lot of the time, if you've had customer service experience in any other industry, you'll be trained and taught in that as well. So those are the general things that we're looking for.
Great. Now you mentioned the interview. What does that look like? I know interviews are run in different ways, and more often than not these days it's virtual. But is that a panel interview? Is it multiple interviews with one person? How does that work when someone applies?
Right. So that actually has recently changed. A lot of the time, it used to be just a one-time interview with myself or my manager, Jack. Lately, because of COVID, we've adapted. And so actually, everybody has to go through the process of applying. And that's where Kayla makes sure that they meet our basic requirements. If somebody passes that part there, that's when they have a one-on-one Zoom meeting with myself or Jack, just over Zoom. And it's just at that point, it's just one more interview. It's just one interview in general. And from there, somebody would be decided on if they're going to be hired or not.
Great. And sort of to step back a little bit, some companies look for cover letters, others don't. What's your position on cover letters? Are you a yes or a no on cover?
I actually really do appreciate a good cover letter. I know it's a lot of effort to go through and write something in particular, but I couldn't tell you how much more impressive it is when I do see somebody has done their research on a company, got to know us well, versus somebody that's just looking for a job anywhere. I would ideally like to find somebody that has done their research on us and making sure that we're a good fit for them, because not every business is the right fit for the same employee, and we want to make sure that everybody that we work with gels. We want to make sure everybody gets along well.
Yeah, and a cover letter, for those that accept cover letters, I think, and I would agree with you that they can be really helpful in that way. And I think it just demonstrates that added level of commitment, that I'm not just flippantly sending resumes to every place that I could possibly find. I've taken at least a little bit of time to ensure that I even want to work for this company, but to show that perhaps our values align, depending on the values that you've put on your website, or that I appreciate the work that I see, or the pride painting team that I see out there and about. So just showing that little bit of extra effort can really go a long way, particularly if you're one of the only applicants that put that in. It's a great differentiator.
It makes you stand out for sure. Absolutely. And that's almost a guaranteed way to get an interview, is if you've done a cover letter, it almost guarantees you're going to get at least somebody to get on the other side of the phone and chat with you. Versus if you could be a fantastic candidate, but maybe you have something that happened on your resume where it doesn't line up nicely, you run the risk of being missed. Versus if you took the time to write a cover letter, it just makes you that much more intriguing and standing out amongst others that maybe can't see the value put behind that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, that's sort of the end of our formal questioning, but I do just want to ask kind of one more question, which is just the general advantages of coming on board with Pride Painting. I mean, you're a great local company. What can someone expect to gain by being a member of your team?
Thanks. Yeah, you know what? We got a great team of men and women that are working with us, in the office and in the field. And, so you get to work alongside great other people. And that's basically what we've cultivated here at Pride Painting, is just a good work ethic, a good company culture. You don't have to deal with negativity. We have a very low tolerance towards that. The idea is that we all want to come to work, make money, go home and enjoy our lives and enjoy the Vancouver Island lifestyle. And so, I think that kind of speaks for itself. Just we've been very successful in the sense of being around for 10 years and started off the company quite young. And so we still kind of have that young energy and feel for us. And we're not stuck in our ways too hard anyway, try not to be, but we're a young growing company that's always looking to grow and improve. And with that, you need, other people as well. It's always going to be a people person business first. So yeah, hopefully we find the right people that want to grow with us.
Absolutely. Great. And I hope that you do. And I hope that some of our watching audience is part of that team. I want to thank you so much for dedicating your time to speaking with me today. I know that I got a lot out of it, and I'm certain that the job seekers watching, again, both Work BC and non-Work BC clients have gotten a lot out of it as well. So just want to say thank you very much, and we'll have you next year.
Absolutely, Peter. And I really appreciate the time of you guys putting together the panel, asking a lot of questions. Just like anybody else, I get a little nervous when you're speaking on camera with Zoom, and just kind of you freeze up a little bit. But no, I really enjoyed the process here, and speaking with you as well. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Robert.